right, hello everyone. Welcome to our next web class today. We'll talk about joint venture marketing and the ins and outs of it. Basically, just want to give you the basics, some of the techniques you need to implement this strategy, so you can find the right partners for your business and grow your practice. All right. So today I'm joined with Alex. Alex is my nephew. He's been in this over 5 years. I'm Coach Jeremy. I've been in the business going on. It's closer to 30 years than not now. So it's been a good long time. I started when I was 17 in this industry. There's a whole story to go with that, but I won't bore you with those details today. But one of the reasons we do these classes and we hold these webinars and the virtual classes every month is to bring about positive change in our industry. We want to make you the respected, trusted advisor that people need to have and want to have. All right, so that's a little bit about our mission statement. And on to the next. Okay, so what we're talking about today is joint ventures. We're going to talk about what are joint ventures, what are they, how they work, how they can benefit you, who are the best potential partners, how to approach your joint venture targets, how to open the conversation to get the interaction so you can create those partnerships, and we'll talk about active versus passive partnerships. All right. Like I said before, if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A or the chat box. We'll be answering them throughout the call. So let's jump into it. Okay. So what are joint ventures? A joint venture is an agreement between two companies in which both organizations combine marketing strategies in order to attract more of the right process and increase revenues. Basically, you're getting each business partner more prospects, more people to help or sell, depending on how you look at it. So it's all about helping you work together with people that are like-minded, that are going to be able to, actively put you in front of each other's prospects, each other's clients, and benefit of each other. So it's like looking at I think a good example of a positive joint venture that we see every day. You got something to add, Alex?
Yes. While you're thinking about that, a joint venture is basically all you're doing is cross-selling another person's business. Is essentially what you're doing. So you're trying to find somebody that has the same people that you want to work with, so you guys can cross-sell each other. Is the nuts and bolts of it. So I know one great joint venture that people have seen all over the country is Subway and Walmart. Subway benefits because they benefit from all that walking traffic inside Walmart. Walmart benefits because people stay in Walmart longer because now they don't have to leave because they're hungry.
Thank you. I could have the biggest problem thinking of a joint venture today for some reason. I don't know what my problem is, but that's exactly what it is. It's in a nutshell. It is just that. Is to help you grow each other's business for mutual benefit. All right. So one of the frequent questions I get is, not above who the best partners are and so forth, is how do I pay the partners? How do I compensate them? That conversation. And it's a lot of different ways, how you can compensate them depending on how you structure the business. When you deal with other advisors, other licensed insurance agents, you can pay them a split of commissions. That's great. That's the simplest way to do it. So if you're working with, if you're doing all the life and annuity stuff and you have this lowly health guy who just does health insurance, partner together and work out an arrangement where, you pay him 15, 18, 20% of the sales you make from his clientele, or a P&C person or whatnot. You have people that are not licensed in the industry who are not licensed professionals for insurance. So you have to be a little more creative because we can't tie our paying to them in a commission format. It can't be tied to commission. So you can't say, we're going to give you 25% of your sale, because that's not allowed because they're not licensed. So you have to be more creative in what you can do, and every state's going to be a little different on what you can pay out versus, for referrals and, different things. One of the strategies I've always used, especially with other professionals in the quasi financial services industry, mortgage brokers, CPAs, title companies, different, that different avenue. I pay them consulting fees. That way I can legally write it off that hey, they helped me on so-and-so's case. I can't tie it to commission, but I can give them what it's worth to me, or the part that they help me, what their hourly rate is for that case. Okay, so there's lots of ways to do it. For non professional companies, you have people that work with like mechanics and that kind of stuff that, a lot of times it's paying them a flat fee per lead, and they're happy with that. Some want a little more, so we work out list rentals, office rentals. What I mean, office rentals, conference room rental if they have a conference room with their other type of business, and depending on how I can make it work for them. Some people don't want money; they just want to be in front of more people. That's great too. If they don't want a piece of it, great. I can work with that. But one of the fastest way to get people engaged in what we do is to have a vested interest, and that means paying them a little bit. And that's going to be, a way for you not only to help them, if you're not bringing immediately, because I know one of the biggest things is a lot of agents getting started don't have a lot of prospects they can bring to the table. So paying them a portion, a stipend, or per case, or whatever you want to structure it, is a way to build that partnership still, because they have the clients. You don't have the clients. You're trying to work with the clients, but now you can pay them for working with you can pay them for letting them, for you working with their clients. That makes sense. Now, if you have a huge client base of your own already, and they have their own client base, then work out mutual arrangements for marketing. Be a little more aggressive on the marketing. I've done things where I've had joint newsletters or offer them aspects on my newsletter. Done mailings for them, endorsement letters, all kinds of things that are going to help me put, people in front of me, both of my workshops to, sit down with one-on-one. I've had my partners give away free consultations, where, he's told them, and I'll show you the letter that we use, where, they're buying an hour of my time for them to sit with me. So it's already bought and paid for, take advantage of it. Little gimmicky, but it works. So a joint venture, overall is the big picture of it is, one, it's virtually zero cost. Maybe a couple lunches with your partner, to get up and running. There's no steps to it. There's a lot of steps with no immediate cost to it. Okay, so that's one. Two, it can help you increase your revenue tenfold without having to spend a lot of money on marketing. Because looking for new prospects is the most costly part of the business we run. If you look at every agent out there who is struggling to find people, what they end up doing, they end up buying leads, sending out tons of mailers, because generating top level, or not top level, but immediate interest for new prospects that never heard from you is the most costly part of our business. So if we have people endorsing you, so if you call me and say, hey, Jeremy, I want to work with you, will you endorse me to your clients, and you have a valuable service, then yeah, I'm going to do that. I do it all the time here. As part of the Pro Shop, I put hundreds of joint ventures together. A little different styles about selling, product to, insurance products. We get a little more freedom on how we set it up and structure it. But the big picture of it is, with my partners, I'm able to, one, they put me in front of a lot more people. And that's what all our goal is. We all want to be in front of more people, that we have more potential people to help at the end of the day. So like one of my partners I talk about, and I do a lot of work with, is Insurance WebEx. And flat out, I pay them a percentage of each sale I make. And I'm okay with that, because in the beginning of the day, they're putting me in front of, 100,000 to 250,000 new people that I wouldn't reach otherwise. So do I have a problem paying them whatever I pay them? Pennies on the dollar, basically, for 200,000 people. Is that something worthwhile doing? Absolutely. There's all these ventures, and they help because, when I first started the pro shop in 99, me and Lou, we didn't have an email base. We didn't have, we were a large FMO. We didn't have a lot of industry contacts besides our upline and some carrier contacts. So we had to figure out how to grow. One, we didn't want to invest any of our own money into our pro shop side of it. Like we all do, we want to keep a minimal investment. We had to keep our business running, which is paying the bills, so this was up and running. Similar to what all you guys are doing, right? Same thing. We all go through the same things. So we had to find a lot of partners that we didn't have a lot of clientele. We offered a lot of value, and our partners could see we offered a lot of value of helping people, things we could help their clients do that would enable them to buy more product from them, to buy more booklets, buy more books, to buy more videos and different things that they were selling. So creating these mutual partnerships was great because it was low cost to us, but we also got a huge benefit of being in front of the other groups, 25, 30,000 clients. And as we got going, as we came where we are now, it's the opposite. Now people are looking for a hand up from us. So people that are starting out want ventures with the big dog, with the big fish in the industry, and we're one of the big fish in the insurance training industry. So now people group to us so we can share our knowledge, so we can share their product, their information with our clients. That's why you see a lot from WebPress from us, a lot with WebEx, a lot from Jeffrey's Money for Life. These are the reasons we do these things. All the partners we brought on because they offer a valuable service that we want to expose you guys to. Does that make sense? So in the insurance industry, what you guys are doing, you're looking for more clientele, and that's a great place to be because you offer a huge service for every family out there. You offer tremendous value to help people not only insure their family, protect their family if something bad happens, but also help them create bucks of tax-free money, help them send the kids to college. There's so much good you guys do. Is get the message out there. So let's talk about some of the potential partners. Who are some of the best partners out there? But before we get into listing out who, it's better to know what kind of people in general you're looking for. And the best answer I have, and it's in big print, is people who want to aggressively grow their business. We don't want people that are already established, already, comfortable in doing what they're doing. They have the business grows automatically for them. They don't put a lot of effort into it. We don't want to work with them. Those are going to be hard partners to get through to and have them buy into what we do. But you want people that are really aggressive in wanting more of the business. So when we talk about the different partners, you're going to see why I'm talking about aggressive versus passive. Okay. So potential partners I look at are like property and casualty agents, right? And this is, again, one of those ones you want to have someone who's aggressive. If someone's content with their P&C book, they're making a few life sales, they're hitting their bonuses, they could care less about growing any faster than they're already growing. They got a huge residual base, not going to be as aggressive. But if you look for somebody maybe a little younger, a little newer, a little fresher, just bought a new book, those are the guys you want to go after because they want to aggressively grow. They want to hit those bonus levels. They want to hit their trips and their qualifications. And we can help them do that. So it's getting that message out that, hey, we can help you sell more life insurance, to the people you need to be in touch with, the people you need to do, possibly yourself hit your bonuses, to hit your goals. And we want independent P&Cs. We don't want the big, typically working with the Allstate, State Farms, Nationwides, Farmers, Farm Bureau. It's going to be a tough because they're more captive. But looking at the independent PNC guys, if you the companies they typically represent are like Progressive, Safeco, 21st Century is they're in between. Some of the Geico independent offices. There's quite a few that are able to broker and work with you to help them hit their goals. Okay, so that's one potential set of partners. Health insurance agents, and typically, the health insurance enrollers now is more what they're called. They don't sell a product. They're enrolling people both for Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare Advantage, traditional health insurance. These guys focus on just getting people signed up. They don't have, they get paid the same amount for every product. These people want to grow, but they're so busy doing what they're doing. I have a lady I work with who does a tremendous amount, but doesn't have time to do this herself. One of the top Medicare people in this country for years, with a client I worked with, a very dear friend of ours. And, she always tell me, Jeremy, I wish I could sell life insurance, but I don't have the time. She is writing between 50 and 100 apps a week in the MedSup market. She had to hire staff to help her do that. So to work with someone like that who wants to grow, who wants to help her clients on the ways, that's tremendous amount of influence she has. Her clients loved her. She could refer me to anybody she wanted to. And we did for a while. I wrote a few cases for her because we lived in the same town. But, these are people that if you find the right partners, the amount of business you can write, the amount of people you can really help, it explodes. Long-term care agents, MedSup guys. And then you have the non-financial stuff like mortgage brokers, the accountants, the lawyers, CPAs, the other professionals that we normally work with. We all should have these people in our book anyways, when I say our book, our list of people to work with, our team, for lack of a better word. So if you have someone who needs wills and trusts done, you know who to refer them to. If you need someone who needs tax preparation done, needs help with their corporate payroll, all their accountant needs, you have the accounts you can refer them to. You're talking about we're helping people with home equity, refinancing, HELOCs, having those bankers in your back pocket, having a mortgage broker. These are all part of your team anyways. But they make great partners for the ones that are aggressive wanting to grow. All right. So what about some other more outside the box type partners? And this is where you can, the sky's the limit on what you guys can help and find. And these are some of the ones that I've personally created. Some I've heard other agents that I've worked with that have been phenomenal. I had one gentleman who worked with mechanics. He was a former Mac tool delivery driver. So he had a lot of influence in that marketplace already. So he was able to joint venture when he started getting the insurance stuff going, that able to transition into working with his mechanics he was already working with on his tool route. Different things. I've had agents work with chiropractors. Now, HIPAA laws have kind of prevented some of this stuff now, but you can do in-office workshops and different things you can do to get people in front of you. This is one of the ones I promoted was daycare centers. My wife was a former daycare teacher. So I would create ventures with the daycare centers locally here because a lot of the families, they're all right where I want them to be. They're perfect clients. People that are 25 to 45, have kids, families own homes, and they had trouble paying their bills. So she would set up what they call a family day at the daycare center, and I come in and do a workshop once a quarter. And I do different workshops talking about different topics. Debt, savings. They'd have a banker there occasionally, and I partner with them to work on tell people about how to save money. We work with the kids, work with the adults. And it was a fun time. And we got lots of business from it. Looking, in the ways you enjoy is the actual schools themselves. Elementary schools, middle schools, the PTSAs, the PTAs of the world are all looking for speakers. And they make great partners because they can put you in front of a lot of people. Now, it's a different style of partnership because it's not going to be monetarily based, but at that time it's more emotional based for them. How many times, and I can tell you, well, how many times have you seen on Facebook or on the social media sites, on the TV, or heard this, that, kids need to learn more about how to manage their money, right? I talk about it all the time. My kids went through all my, I had two that have graduated. I have one that's a freshman this year in high school. And even when I went to school, and this is back 20 plus years ago, they didn't teach us anything about finance, economics. They didn't teach us about how to balance a checkbook, how to save money. And if you go back 30, 40 years ago, they did all that stuff at the school. I know when we went to school, he's telling a story, they used to have the bank come in every Friday and collect a nickel from every kid. It was one of the things they taught kids how to save money. And no one's doing that anymore. So if you can create those partnerships, those joint ventures that you can work with the schools, they can put in front of the kids to do these education events. One, it's a great community service, get your name out there, it's great, right? And two, a lot of times you're able to send free information home with the kids, and the parents want to learn more. Now, if you couple that with doing some adult ed courses, partnering with a local community college to offer some of those courses, and you can put this whole big financial education program together that's going to help not only the students but also the parents at the same time. And it's a tremendous joint venture between a school, a college, and a local financial advisor. Okay, so there's all kinds of things you can do, but tax preparers, website builders, dry cleaners, coffee shops, the list can go on and on. You can think of a thousand different people you talk to, hairdressers. There is all kinds of people you can work with. That anybody who wants to go their business, but also has a list of people they work with. Like one lady I'm talking to right now, and she's a nice lady. Her name is Kim. She's my wife's nail lady. And she has list and list of clients, and she has this huge nail salon. She's the only worker there. She owns the place. So I work with her to help her, one, get some employees and to help grow her business, but also two, to let me do workshops for all these women that come in to see her. And she's not the cheap lady that's, on every corner. She charges a good amount for every nail set. She does every pedicure, all that stuff. So she has a lot of middle income to high income clients. So think outside the box on of who you can partner with. Look at what your spouse does, what hobbies they have, what businesses they frequent, what businesses you frequent. Is there opportunities to work with some of these things, to work with some of these people that can help you grow your business? So be active out there. This has come back to the networking, community outreach. All these things kind of go together in a lot of ways. But the more you're out in the field, the more you're out in helping the community and out, working with people, you can make a huge message, a huge difference in people's lives all over by creating these partnerships, by being active in the community, doing different things that are going to help you grow your practice. Does that make sense? A little off topic, I know, but anything you want to add, Alex?
No, but I'm glad you took a break because we did have one question. And someone asked, why would I want to partner with like a health guy, for example, if they're already licensed? Wouldn't they make more money just doing it themselves?
Yeah, they could. Absolutely make more money doing it themselves. Okay. But I've known a lot of health guys in my career, and most of them can't. They don't want to. It's too much extra work. That's why they're just health guys. There's a difference between we talk about this all the time, order takers versus salespeople, right? A lot of health guys, long-term care, med sups, final expense, these are all order takers. I'd probably say 75 to 95% order takers. Okay, so they don't want to put the extra effort in a lot of times. They want to make money. And if you can show them how they can make money with no work, that appeals to people. It's sad, but it's true. And it's not going to be every agent's going to be like that. Some, I work with agents that needed help, who want them to do the business for them. And then when they saw how much money I was making, they started doing it themselves. That works too. I had a group, and this is years ago, that they didn't have life licenses. I helped them get life license, so I split commissions with them. They saw that I was making tons of money working with their clients, and we were all having a great time because I was paying them like 25%, and they're doing the math saying, well, you're making, 3 times this amount. Yeah, I'm doing the work though. You just give me a list. So they started doing it themselves. And I told them how to do it, and because I helped them get license, they were my downline anyway, so I made overrides on, the stuff they were doing anyways. So it worked out. But there's different ways you can structure things, that can make it so it's beneficial for all parties. And again, if they want to get them running, great. I mean, this, most time you want to have them working with you anyways. You'll get them life license on your contracts in your companies. So put them on a level underneath you so that if they do decide to break out, you're still getting compensated for them breaking out of their own. It's a win-win. Does that answer the question, Alex?
Yes, I think that does very well. And the other part of that is just something that thing is this goes right along with how we always talk about team building, just building a team around you, do everything else, because you don't have the time to do all of the different things that needs to be done in a case. Like you can't be current on all the health insurance updates, all the tax updates, all the life insurance updates, all the annuity updates, everything else. There's not enough time in the day. It just allows you to focus on your special area of expertise, specialize in what you do, and let them specialize in what they do.
Yeah. Jack of all trades, master of none. You spread yourself too thin, no one makes money. They come back to being a specialist in your area, and that same thing works for them too. They want to be a specialist in the health insurance field. I've had guys that are long-term care only specialists, and make phenomenal money doing it. And they don't have time to sell the annuities or the med stuff that go out with anything else they can do. Even when I was, in somewhat personal production, I get to a point where I didn't want to do disability insurance. I didn't want to do, health insurance. So I brokered that stuff out. It wasn't worth my time. If I could bring someone in to do it for me, I'd make a small percentage of it, and they make the rest. And I was happy with that. I was happy giving that business to them. So the same thing goes at this level. All right. So next we're going to talk about, now that we know the who, the what, now talk about the how. How do we get in front of these people? How do we, create the conversation? How do we make these partnerships work? Well, the approach first is important. You need to have a clear understanding of what you're able to do, offer, and the benefit you bring to the table before you search out for your partner. And what I mean by that is you need to know what you want to do for a living. What do you want to be when you grow up? I hate to put it that way, but that's the best way to explain it. So if you're trying to bounce all over the place, you're doing, a little bit of final expense, mortgage protection, you're trying to do IUL sales, you're all over the place, no one's going to work with you. You're a mess. I hate to be blunt about it, but it's going to be tough for someone to buy into working with you when you don't have your crap together. Does that make sense? So make sure you have a really great understanding of what you're trying to do moving forward. That way people can relate, understand where you're coming from. They understand what you're trying to help people do. And it's easier to be working on one specific target. Because if you go to a partner and say, I'm looking for people that's in like 3 different markets, it's going to be hard for them to help you identify the right profit they need to bring to you. So they need to understand what you're doing and how you're helping people. Okay. So that's the most important thing about this whole process that you need to understand. Okay. So let's talk about
real quick before you move on. Sorry.
Yep.
I was trying to let you finish your thought. But yeah, when you're approaching somebody, you have to sell them on the idea of how you're helping people. They need to understand what you bring to the table. Otherwise, why should they refer their people who they've built up this trust with to you? Like you have to show that you're going to do what's best for them and their clients.
Yeah, great point. I mean, yeah, if they don't, if they feel they can't trust you, they're not going to work with you. So if you're all over the place, if you're a hot mess, as my daughter calls it, it's going to be tough for them to work with you. It's like the whole being referable topic we talk about. If you don't make yourself referable, who's going to refer people to you? Same thing goes here. So you have to convey the professionalism that you're wanting to. This is the business you're in. Not that it's a hobby. That this is your profession. Okay. So let's talk about the approach. And this is a simple icebreaker that you can use via text message, email, LinkedIn, hard letter, whatever. And this is something me and Lou have used. And before I jump into, let me explain a little bit of background behind this. So one of the ways me and Lou created joint ventures initially, with when we were in sales, okay, on our, he was in sales back then, was we poll the clients and talk to them and ask them, what businesses they work with, because we want to know who we can partner with, who do they recommend we work with. So we get them to talk about who their CPA, attorney, the mechanic they used, just all kinds of information we collect. And that's why if you notice on our bootcamp evaluation form or workshop evaluation form, you'll see we talk about what's their favorite radio station, what's their favorite TV station. These are all information that, because we're trying to create those partnerships. So so looking at the radio station, we want to know where we want to advertise. If most of our clients, like here in Dallas, are listening to the Fish 104.9 or 104.7, sorry, we want to be able to know that, hey, 50% of our customers listen to the Christian channel. Let's put an ad up on that station. That's where we're going to find more people that we want to work with. They're our type of people. Does that make sense? So same thing goes with our clientele. When we're polling our people to find out, which tax preparer they use, which mechanic, what's the favorite restaurant in town, all these different things. These all have different reasons we ask these questions. So we know that, hey, if we find that, 25, 30% all use the same accountant, I probably want to work with this accountant. He probably has more clients like the ones I want to work with. Well, if they all use the same mortgage broker, all use the same bank, I want to be able to partner with these businesses and know the people that work there so I can make referrals and create those partnerships. So the icebreaker is such. Hey, this is Jeremy from Family Consultants. I've been hearing a lot about you from my clients. And I want to tell you that my clients think very highly of you. I think my customers are well-suited prospects for your business and vice versa. What should we do if I want to send a few of them your way? So I'm creating the conversation by saying, hey, I think we can work together. I think we have a lot of clients in the same clients already. How do I send more clients? How do I send more business to you? Now, I'm not a genius by any stretch of the imagination, but if I get an email saying, hey, I want to send business your way, what do you think I'm going to do? Absolutely, please send business my way. I'm not going to turn it down. And by the way, tell me a little bit more what you're doing. Now, and this works on me still. I don't know how many times I get emails just like this, especially on LinkedIn, for people who want to partner with me. And I'm probably the easiest sale known to man for a lot of stuff. And I'm always getting sucked into these joint ventures to know more. I want to know more how to help people. We're in a people business, guys. And if I can help somebody, I want to know how. If you want something in business, I'm not going to turn it down. So this is a simple way to open the door, break the ice, whatever you want to call it, to help them see what you do and how you can help them and how they can help you. All right. So the conversation typically I want to focus the initial conversation. So once I have the icebreaker, we set a time to have lunch together or do a phone conference or whatever, how we're structuring it. You know, I'm going to focus the initial conversation on them. I want to make them feel good about what they're doing, how they're helping their prospects, how they're helping their clients. And I want to really help them focus on increasing their business first. My personal philosophy, helping people get what they want, you get what you want in the end, right? Same philosophy I've been teaching you guys for the last 20 years. Okay. So one of the biggest things I want to find out is what's their motivator? Why do they do what they do? What's their why? Because that's going to tell me a lot about if they want to work with them or not. So if they have a motivator of helping people, if they're just trying to make money, just want to beat the competition, I want to know what their motivational factor is, so I understand more where they're coming from. Because again, if I find someone who's just trying to sell product, they don't care who to, I don't want to work with these people. They're gonna make me look bad. So that's a way to weed out some of the junk you're gonna have to go through. But we want to find the right prospect. A partner has to be perfect, in my opinion. If they're not perfect, I don't want to work with them, because I don't want them selling my reputation. Because it does. Same thing versus for them. If I'm not perfect for them, I don't want to work with them, so I don't want to hurt them. Make sense? So find their motivator. Second thing I focus on, finding their problem. What's their biggest problem? What's their biggest struggle in their business? Prospecting, repeat sales, client retention, all these things, come into play. So till I know more about their situation, their problem, and if we have a common problem, great, we can work on it together. If they have a problem getting repeat sales, can we help them with that? Absolutely. If they're selling, windows and doors and construction materials, can I help them get repeat sales? Absolutely. As I'm talking to people, I see, hey, you're doing some remodeling. Who are you getting your supplies from? If you go and see Joe Schmo at buildingstuff.com, I know he's offering anybody I refer over 20% off, 25% off discount to send it back over to him. Or I saw you already bought parts from him. He told me to tell you if you come back over, he'll give you 25% off of that. On top of that too. Whatever. I mean, however you can structure it. We can help them solve their problems, because again, helping people get what they want gets what we want in the end. Right? No different. It's all the same stuff. All right. So here are a list of what I call major includes. These are things that we want to be able to help them do, or help us do. And help them understand that our customers are good prospects of other businesses. Our prospects are well suited for each other. We want to be able to bounce them back and forth. I want to be able to send mine to you and you to me. Okay. I want to form a strategic alliance. I want to work together. I want to create a unique partnership. Okay. And this is probably the biggest one. And Alex alluded to it a few minutes ago. I know you spend a good deal of time, effort, and money building goodwill with your customers. I don't want to blow that for you. Take the risk away. You do not want to steal their clients. You're not looking just to get their list so you can start blasting, 10,000 emails to them. I want to help your clients increase their wealth, save money for their future, pay off theirs, whatever you help to help them do. Focus on the end result that you're trying to bring to the table. Not trying to sell IUL products. No one cares. We're not trying to sell life insurance. That's one of the products we offer. But, as financial consultants, financial advisors, financial agents, whatever you want to call yourself, our goal is to help people. We want to help people to eliminate debt, save money for the future, put their kids through college, pay off the home early, make sure they have the right protection if something were to happen to their family. It's never about the product itself. It's about the problem it solves. Remember that. All right. So make sure you take away that and reassure them. Take away that risk. You know, because that's one of the biggest things or the biggest objection I get to partnerships is, I'm just not comfortable giving you access to all my people because they're afraid. They don't know you. So for you to come in and like I had an agent go in there and told us, I got the guy all excited and ready to go, and then I asked him for his list. He told me to go F off. I would have too. The way you handled it, you didn't handle it the right way. You have to help them see the benefit of working with you and help build trust. You have to build a relationship, just like you build a relationship with your clients, a relationship with your partners too. All right. So in the conversation, there's no canned scripted way to do this. So if you came here looking for a script, the only script you're going to get is that first little section, that icebreaker, because that's the only script I give. Everything else is about helping them see the work you do and how you help people and how you can help them. And, we go back to talk about this all the time. The one way to do that is to ask questions. Ask questions to understand the problem. Ask questions to help them fix their problems. Ask questions to suggest working together. It's all going towards the same goal. So if we understand their problems, they understand where we're coming from, we have a mutual partnership, we should suggest working together. I think we can help each other greatly, and create an active partnership. And I'm going to talk about that in the next couple slides. Talk about active versus passive partnerships. But before we go any further, is there any questions? And this is an awfully quiet group. Either I'm doing a really good job or everybody's asleep. All right, so we're almost done, guys. We've three more slides. So the next one we're talking about is active versus passive systems, and there's a huge difference between these two. All right, an active versus passive is exactly what it sounds like. An active system is where you're reciprocating business back and forth on an active basis. A passive is where, hey, you're my partner, can I put some flyers in your office? Where they're not actively pursuing people on your behalf. Okay, so like one of the active partners I worked with was with the P&C office, where they did only property and casualty, they did commercial lines, that kind of stuff. They didn't sell any life insurance. The only thing life insurance they sold was when someone came and say, I want to buy term insurance. Then they sell them a term policy. Order takers. So, but when I help them to understand how I can help them, and the agent actually let me go in and train his staff to ask a few questions to qualify people, or not really qualify, but to pique interest. And that's what you'll find in my mortgage system about talking about help paying off the home early. That's one of the systems we teach the P&C guys and gals. But so if you teach them what you're looking for, and they say, hey, like one thing that I taught them was when someone calls for a homeowner's quote, and they give them the quote, they go over the numbers, they buy the policy, they'll ask the question, hey, now that you protected your home from the event of, or risk from Mother Nature and things, has anyone ever tried to protect your home if something were to happen to you or your spouse? Or has someone ever shown you how to pay off your home early with no additional money out of pocket? It's a great transition line where they could get them to talk, they get people's information. Yeah, I'd like to pay off my home early. Well, let me get you over to talk to Jeremy. He's our in-house mortgage specialist. He'll be able to help you do that. And they get name and number, and I call them right back. That's an active system. Passive systems, when you put, flyers up, you put in brochures in their office, they have something on their desk for you. If you go into any car dealership across this nation, right, you'll find on their corner of their desk, usually the left-hand corner against the wall, stacks of business cards from other businesses, and that's what I call more of a passive partnership. Yeah, you can put information out here. I'll be happy to give it to my clients, but it's not going to do anything above and beyond to reciprocate that. All right. So I have a gentleman here in town at one of the big dealerships in town here. I bought my truck from recently, and I sent him probably 3 or 4 people to buy cars now. And my car just sitting on his desk. He's not giving a single one of them out. That's more a passive thing. So if someone grabs one, great. If they don't, they don't. Just have to go above and beyond. So that's the real difference. So, to make a successful joint venture, your partner must know how to help you at the end of the day. If you want to become an active partner, they must know how they can benefit you, what you're looking for, what kind of people you need to be in touch with, and so forth. If they don't understand what you do, how can they refer people to you? And they're not going to refer to another insurance agent. Like I said before, talking about products, selling IULs, selling, bank on yourself. That's the main thrust of your business, to sell whole life policies. You're going to have a problem. You're not going to be successful in this industry until you break out of talking about product all the time. All right. So also we covered what the difference is. Passive, refer people when you find them. They might find somebody has a perfect fit. They may say, hey, you can talk to Jeremy. Or if someone asks about a specific question, then you come to mind. But an active is they're out there, they're putting you in their data, they're putting you in their emails, they're putting you in their newsletters, they're promoting you, they're promoting your service, sending endorsement letters and different things. Okay, so that's kind of the nutshell of that. All right, so I'm going to pull up the letters we talked about, and if you guys are on the resource center, have one of the systems, you'll notice this guide. It's been updated recently. My wife did all the colorful artwork and stuff for it, but this goes through all the different techniques, the different concepts, has different letters and approaches you can use to get in front of people. So one of the things is one thing we talk about is an endorsement letter. And this is one I was telling you about earlier that you could offer if you're for workshop or whatnot. And it's very simple, and like I said, I tried to endorse other companies, but for someone who really offers a great benefit that I would really find of super value to my clients, I'm going to endorse. And you guys see my endorsements. I had a few of them on our emails of companies I really guys need you to check out. But this is some way you can get, give to your partner to send out on your behalf. Because a lot of times they don't contact their clientele all that often. They send a newsletter out, they send emails out occasionally, but they don't send a lot of these very personal emails out. And this is just one sample that we've used, that has really worked. So because I appreciate your loyalty to our firm over so many years, I was thinking about sending you flowers, a gift box, or, because I was calling me. The best thing I do is arrange a free hour with my financial services advisor, blah, blah, blah. Just won't cost you a nickel, blah, blah, blah. It's all about a way of saying thank you to the clients, but here's something I really think you should talk to somebody. You should really look for help with. He can really help you. Here's some problems help a lot of our clients with, or a lot of my friends with. All right. So again, those are all in the resource center. If you look at it's the marketing tab, and then it's joint venture marketing. There's a whole section on there, guys, of tons of different articles, things from some of the masters of joint venture marketing. Research this. This is a great way to grow your business. A very inexpensive, if not free way to grow your business. Yes, it takes time. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but long term, this can be one of the biggest increases to your business you can have. when you have people out there marketing for you because you do such a great job, they want to share your message. They want to share how you're helping people. All right.
Yeah,
Anything to
guys,
add, Alex?
we always talk about how you always want to have a three-pronged approach when you're looking for new clients and everything. And this is just one of those foundations, guys. This goes hand in hand with everything else you're doing very well. So you don't want to just buy leads. You don't want to just cold call. You don't want to just content marketing, but you don't want to just rely on referrals. It's all of these things put together, just another separate base so you get more people that you wouldn't get in front of any other way.
Yeah. And, if you think about it, who would you rather do business with? Some agent off the street or someone who's been endorsed to you? Working from the client's eyes. If you have your P&C guy saying, hey, you need to speak with my financial services guy, versus some guy cold calling you, who are you going to talk to? It's a warm introduction, guys. This is no better way to get conduct business. It's an instant referral. It's a hot lead, whatever you want to call it. All right. So that's all I have. I think I went through that pretty good. I know we have some questions. I see some chat. My little chat box is blowing up here. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them to us. If you want to talk to me or Alex one-on-one, do a small coaching call on joint venture marketing or any other topic, feel free to call us toll free, the number on the screen, or if you're outside the United States, I have a couple guys in Canada who want to call me. You can go to the website and use their direct callback feature or call the direct number. Do we have any questions today? Anything else you want to add, Alex?
I think you hit it very much on the head. Just remember, guys, that this is just a great way of getting that warm referral. And we know how much more effective referrals are versus someone that you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better way to, when we talk about, after the first in the business, you should have 50% or more of your business in referrals. This is part of that. This is a big part of that. So having these partnerships not only to, create your team, but having these partnerships that can grow to those businesses. These are the people you're going to, have your mastermind group with. These are the people you want to be referring your clients to for the wills and trusts and different things that they need to have done. This is all part of becoming that financial consultant, financial advisor, whatever you call yourself, that's going to be how to bring that whole process together for families, not just doing one portion of the stool. That makes sense?
Yeah, the other part of that is you also don't want to be very choosy about who you pick. Like, you don't want to work with someone that's going to give you a bad reputation. If someone has very low reviews, you don't want to work with that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been burned by partners too. We had one of the big college planning groups years ago. We got burned by. You live and you learn sometimes, but some of the partners I brought on have done not only great things for our business, but have made me a lot of money at the same time. And that's, it's a great way to market yourself. If you look at the average cost for new client acquisition, and I'll get some pretty big words, technical terms here, but it can get costly. But if you can get, a warm referral it didn't cost you a cent versus spending $20, $30 on a new client, well, the marketing or more, is this a better situation for you? All right. Well, everybody's being quiet, so I guess we did a great job, Alex, once again. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. We're always here. Want to help you. Other than that, everybody have a great, happy, safe Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you next month.
All right. Thanks, guys.